Legal Breeze welcomes you for yet another discussion on a topic relating to love jihad laws, its constitutional validity. You can call this discussion as constitutional validity relating to the laws pertaining to love jihad. Some people will feel objectionable calling the term love jihad, whether it is that itself violation of Article 14. It may hurt somebody's religious sentiment, but this is how it is being called in reality. It's good or bad, we do not know. But since it has not been banned by law, we also use this term. But please understand, nothing can be done by compulsion. The moment you compel something, there is no space for love and affection. Real love and affection never expect anything. If that is the case, why boys are always demanding that the girl should convert religion for her marriage? At the time of when you are committing one another in the process of quote unquote love, then you know that clearly you are not belonging to the same religion. So for loving one another or for having sexual intercourse, you do not see religion, but only marriage. In the name of marriage, you are compelling somebody else to convert for the religion. This is a problem. The anti-conversion laws have been upheld way back in 1976 by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in a popular case called Reverend Father Steinlocks versus State of MP. This is a landmark case. The first state happens to be the state of Odisha, which has come up with the anti-conversion law. Thereafter, Madhya Pradesh. Why this topic has assumed suddenly importance? Even Tamil Nadu had such a similar anti-conversion law. This constitutional validity has been, by and large, has been settled. But why we are all talking suddenly about this particular topic? Because very recently you had a law called, I think the UP government has made a law after this Priyanka Muhammad Salim case, something, if I am not wrong. And people see this from different point of view. There is a case called Hadia. Her original name happens to be Akila. What a nice name in Hindu religion is concerned. She has been converted to Islam. Later on, she has been married to an Islamic boy. The poor parents have gone to the Kerala High Court and then up to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court has made a ruling in favor of the girl. Please remember, we have never adopted a culture which is completely westernized. And we have not lost or we have not left our culture which is purely rituals, very rich in diversity is concerned. Our culture, particularly Hindu culture, Tamil culture, recognizes marriages purely as a sacrament and sanctity. But today the sanctity and sacraments are over. It has become purely commercial, contractual arrangements. Even people may enter into class by class agreement for getting into marital relationship. Such a day is not far away. It's very nearer because we are moving towards such a reality. Even living in relationship, though it has not been declared illegal, unlawful, but it has never been 100% said lawful, but it has not been declared as unlawful or illegal. So this is the scenario in which we are all living. But please remember, the fundamental rights people, even the Honorable Supreme Court has made it clear in Hadia case. It is the purely consenting adult's choice to marry, to choose his or her own spouse. Certainly we agree. On what basis you say? This is based on US constitutional interpretation given by the US Supreme Court. But please remember, all the international conventions, whether it is UDHR, ICCPR, or International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Economic and Social Rights, even the Convention on the Rights of the Persons with a Disability makes it very clear, family is the fundamental unit of all the civilizational life. Are we cementing the ties of family? Are we breaking the ties of family? Say in US, the children is brought up 100%, particularly the right to education and other things, is 100% subsidized or taken care by the state, whereas in countries like India, it is 100% done by the parents. Government doesn't spend even a single pie on the on the educational aspect or child rearing for the kids is concerned. It is 100% privatized in the name of family. The parents are taking care for everything, and finally, when no, there is it is their love and affection. That's the only thing they expected from their wards or children. But they end up with the disappointments when the kids are going away from the sentiments of the parent. There is something one needs to look into all these anomalies. Whether this issue can be purely solved through law. What is missing? Why this trend is taking place? Why people are going against the home, against the family, against the whole gamut of relatives by ignoring their love and affection? Once again, I would like to reiterate, I am not an expert on psychotic or psychology, but nothing can be done by law. Whether law can regulate love and affection, it is doubtful. But anti-conversion laws, I have a case called Lilly versus Union of India, Lily Thomas versus Union of India. I think it could have been way back in 2000 or 2001. The same Supreme Court has made it very clear that any marriage is done solely for the purpose of conversion, or you are converting solely for committing another marriage. Certainly it is a fraud upon the Constitution. So what is the way forward? There are three ways for this. First, we should have a clear-cut uniform civil code, because some religion allows polygamous marriages. So those who like to do polygamous, in the name of converting religion, they would like to opt for it, just to legalize the polygamous marriage. This can be checked if it is done. The moment you say uniform civil code, unfortunately in India it is very politically sensitive, politically colored. That should not be there. Uniform civil code need not to be in a single law. I think we are slowly moving towards that. Same ground for divorce, same ground for marriage, same ground for succession. When all these things are taken place, not by virtue of single law, maybe through different personal laws, by virtue of judgments of the Supreme Court, we are slowly harmonizing all these things. Our minimum uniform standards, it is going to take place in the days to come, if not immediately. Change should come slowly and gradually, otherwise the revolution will create only chaos and confusion. And we need to go to the stage of Thomas Hobbes when he says the life is nasty and brutal. We cannot afford to have such a thing in the civilized world. Second thing, Special Marriage Act. There is an act. If you are really loving one another truly, then why are you expecting that X or Y should convert for that purpose? Law allows you to marry without converting one another. It recognizes both intercaste as well as interreligion marriages. So if there is no recognition, if there is no legally recognized intercaste or interreligion marriages, alone we should resort to all these things. Law allows you. India is such a nice democratic country. Our constitutional framers are so good enough. Even Special Marriage Act was prevalent even during the British Raj. So one should not forget all these things. Above all, we in Tamil Nadu have a separate peculiar marriage called Swayamaryadi marriage. This is coming under section 7A of Hindu Marriage Act. You can perform any rituals, even without performing any rituals. You can marry one another. There is a procedure prescribed. Religion does not intrude into this at all. You can follow religion. You need not to follow religion also. This option is also been given. To the best of my knowledge, no other marriage system gives you such a flexibility. So when the lawmakers should also think of all these things, the parents should also be guided, because love and affection should be the sole consideration. Certainly parents do not expect beyond that. But the children should respect the will of the parents, because ultimately they are doing everything for us. Family should be restored as a fundamental unit. There is a conflict between individual rights, community rights, and family as an institution. family can bridge both individual rights as well as community rights. And that is why we have the dignity of individual, then fraternity. Both are there. Unless if you give primacy only to individual rights, then there is nothing called community rights. Community rights is not prevailing in the countries like US, but it is there in the countries like India. So we can never forget it. Though even the government as well as the Supreme Court of India, the judiciary for that matter, it's very difficult, of course, but we need to make a fine balance between the individual rights, community rights, individuals, families, all these things. Ultimately, we need to see all these things are supplementing the national interest, because diversity is our diversity is a matter of celebration in this our country. That is what our constitutional gift. We hope good sense will prevail over on the relevant segments of the society, and India will have a peaceful, loving. The marriages will certainly ensure there is a lovable atmosphere. In the name of love, hatred shall never come into picture. There is a Tirukural called Anbirkum Undo Adaikum Tal. So, in the name of love, nobody shall be put to violence, harm, or hurt. I hope good things will come sooner rather than later. God bless you all. Jai Hind.